Because I'm fine with either. I know so many people that are not.
Yeah.
And I'm fine. So.
How are you?
I'm amazing.
Of course.
I'm amazing. God is good. God is good. Life is good. Music is just love for me. You know, it's a love, and I like, because after a while I was like, you'd have been with this. You like, if it wasn't for your like real true love for it. Like I say, it outlasted every guy that I've had in my life, because it's gonna be here. Right. It comes back to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Even when I thought it was just like completely over with, it just keeps on coming back to me. The next thing that happened for me was I got shelved and dropped. I got shelved and dropped because I think the whole thing was I was young and I was soulful and I was likened to like Erykah Badu and Jill in their minds. And because I was so young, it was like, how do you package this?
Right.
What's the image that goes with this? She's 22, and now it's so funny because now it's so many people that are like that, because spirituality is such, it's like kind of clear now that you don't have to be this or that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, but that back then it was just like Angie Stone and NDRE, and then it was like, so how do we make you? Right. You know, because I grew up in Chicago, church girl, but still like designer things and hair weave. I still like it. You know what I mean? And so it was like, how do you do that? And then Lauren, and how are you like this and that? And so that was a thing. That was one of the major things. And then another thing was we brought the package done to the label.
Yeah.
And people will sign you and be like, oh, we love it. Now let's tear it down. Let's make it this, let's make it that. Because you don't understand that when you sign to a label or a distribution or whatever, like if you don't have full creative control, they have all these thoughts and ideas that they feel, because they're all about making the dollar. And that with that brings all kind of different ideas and you know, different, they're trying to measure you against what is popping. And so that whole thing was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
That was one of the biggest learning experiences for me, period. Was, oh, I'm signed, but that don't mean shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really thought you get signed and you come out and then you're a star. Especially when you're signed to like a label that is like popping and popular, and it's just like star after star after star. And then I really also realized that when you are on a roster with a bunch of stars, like, you the new person, like trying to figure out how you're gonna fit in.
Right.
But my mindset was just thinking like, oh, I want to be on the most popping label because they popping. Right. You know what I mean? And so that means it was gonna be easy, but learning, growing, you know. I'm a church girl, for real. That's where I started. Church. That's where I learned to sing. That's where I honed my craft. That's where I started my faith. You know, belief in anything. Yeah. You know, so I went back.
Yeah.
To church.
You went back to church?
I mean, not so much like I'm gonna go here and sing.
Yeah.
More than it was just like to find some understanding.
Yeah.
You know, because when something does not happen for you the way you thought, and I've seen this in so many people, in my family, outside of my family, particularly in church. When you do everything you think is supposed to be so correct and things don't happen, you're like, yeah. And so I had to go back and like get some clarity about what was really going on in my life, because from a teenager to this point of getting dropped, I was like, I've been living a cool ass life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've been living a really good life, like a really favored, basically, life. You know what I mean? And one of the musicians from Chicago said something to me so crazy that I never thought of. He's like, man, we was raised and you was the first person that went and got like a deal
Yeah.
outside of church. And I was like, that was something. Because I never thought of it like that. Because I literally was just following the flow of my life. I never even thought, like, it was kind of like a rebellious thing. To just be like, I'm not even thinking about this.
Right.
I mean, it really was never a thought. I just was following the flow of God. I felt like God would not have put me in positions to be, like, have deals as a teenager, then have another deal as a young adult. Like, I just felt like this is my life. This is how it goes.
Wow.
It was just that simple to me because I loved music. And I never looked at anything like I'm this person and then people are this. Never.
Right.
It was just like I sing and I love to sing, and man, things have just been going very well for me in life. And so when it stopped, I was like,
time to recap.
wait a minute. And then, you know, I was growing into, now you're an adult.
Right.
So it's like, what are you going to do with yourself?
Yeah.
And so I went back to church. Now, I'd had jobs anyway, so it wasn't like I'd never had a job in my life. So in between the two deals, I I worked at the bank and, you know, had a retail job or two. Never really stayed anywhere really long because, like I said, music always comes back. The first person I met was J.Cole. He was the first person that I came to LA and worked with, and we worked on his whole first album. Like, Dion basically did so many songs on the album. Only one of them made it, but that's natural.
Right.
You know, in doing, you know, music. It's natural. So we did that, and so I just kept in touch with Cole. That's something that I had never done before because being from Chicago, you just like,
right.
you know, be kind of standoffish. But something about Cole, he's from Charlotte, North Carolina. I was born in Charleston, South Carolina. We just kind of hit it off.
Yeah.
It was something about him I resonated with, and I was just like, you know what? I'm going to keep in touch with them because they was like super cool. We spent a lot of time in the studio together. I worked with him during that stint. Worked with Big Sean.
Wow.
Ended up doing some common stuff. Like, Dion literally was just putting me on anything he had, which I felt like was just so much love, being that we had so much history together. And, you know, he just did whatever he was working on. Nas, he just put me in a room with these people, and I'm gonna be forever grateful for that, because not only did it like get me back like into music, into what I love to do, like I just started being, I didn't even know I was depressed, but after realizing that this is why your life is going down, like you really never like paid attention to how disappointed I was that my deal didn't work.
Right.
And that I thought life was gonna do this thing and it didn't. We did 2 rehearsals, 4 to 5 hours, and that was it.
Nice.
And so we didn't have time to like get too lost in our heads or whatever. But I got the idea because Tiny Desk was so pure. When we filmed Tiny Desk, we were laughing and talking. If you look at it, because we didn't know it was one take and then that was it.
Right.
We was like, oh yeah, we just warming up. They just trying to get the camera angles. They was like, thank you. We talking and I'm drinking one.
Yeah,
like,
y'all look so comfortable.
That's because we were. Because we had no idea what was going on. So people, like to this day, DM me about this damn show. And so when I start seeing the response, first of all, we felt a synergy that was so natural and so cool. Nobody was like afraid. It just wasn't even time for that because I didn't understand what I was doing at all.
Right.
So we didn't have time to like be afraid. We didn't have enough time to like overthink it. We had just enough time to rehearse, do it, and be out. So first of all, Tyler was incredible. Like the only thing I really knew about him was that he like ate a roach or something. Like that's all I knew. And so I was like, is he gonna be crazy? And he was amazing. So cool, so creative, so normal and regular, and just such a nice person.
He seemed like a nice person.
So cool. So after that happened, people would just DM me about the show, and we knew what we felt.
Right.
The energy, but it was such an overwhelming response. And people would just be like, so how did people start asking me questions about how I got the gig and what was I doing? And, you know, I started realizing that people think that there is like this one path to how like you get gigs, or this one path to like, and I realized I didn't even know. I realized that I never like auditioned for anything.
Right.
And that I never like whatever they're thinking, because they think it's just like some manual and a way. And I was like, yo, like if they heard my story, they probably would be like, huh? Because I was on the beach in Mexico when someone texted me.
You live a life, yeah.
I mean, literally.
Wow.
Living a life, having a hot girl summer. For real. And somebody texted me, but I was meditating like every day on my balcony, looking at the water in Mexico every single day. I was meditating. And I just got this text message, and they were like, yo, do you think you can sing like lows, like tenor for Tyler? And I was like, Tyler, who? And they was like, no, do you just think you can sing tenor for someone? And I'm like, who? They, you know, because they always do that.
Right.
A A-list artist. And I'm like, who?
Right.
I want to know, because I want to say yes.
Right.
Based on whether I want to do it or not.
Exactly.
And so I was like, yeah, cool. But anyway, I realized, like, there is no one way.
No.
This happens so many different ways and through so many different paths.
Yeah.
Since I was a teenager, we got signed to Def Jam at the same time. He was already working with like, you know, everybody. He was working with everybody. So he was working with Jay-Z and everybody. I think that they were doing the blueprint. And then that's when he was like, you know, he got the whole iconic thing about him doing a whole album that was supposed to be featuring the producer Kanye and all these different people. Remember when they used to do compilations?
Yeah.
But really it was his own album. And so Jessica Rivera was my A&R, and I believe she was his. Yep. And I believe she was his A&R as well. And so we were signed at the same time, and we were supposed to work together back then, and we didn't. So to come, you know, back around and end up working in Hawaii on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and then now again, it's just like music. Like I look at all of this stuff like it's just a flow.
Wow.
It's just a flow, and so this has been something totally different, but that I knew was just meant to be, because look at it. Look at what it is. You know, look at where he is in life, period. You know what I mean? And I can't talk too much about it because we signed NDAs. I'll talk about what you already know about, which is like the experience with Coachella, and just, it has just been amazing. I've been so favored in the situation, which just makes all the sense in the world when you're aware.
Right.
When you're aware of us. You know, I had a little small snippet of a picture of me, No ID, and Common in his VH1 like diary.
Really?
That's so many years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm like, wow. So from then to Coachella, it's been unbelievable. But it all makes sense. Life makes sense when you allow it to.
Yeah.
When you stop worrying, start trusting, and just watch it unfold. So working with him has been amazing, just to see him being so clear, you know, about what he wants to do, you know, and so passionate, you know, about something that I was doing when I was a kid for free. Just being able to do this all the time and travel and touch people, and he's just been great. So I did Coachella with Anderson too.
Oh wow.
Yes. Let me tell you what's so funny about that. After we did Tiny Desk, of course I started looking at it. Once ours came out, I'm like, let me look through these Tiny Desks, and I saw Anderson.
Everybody loves him.
Oh Jesus. When you live in LA, it's certain artists that you just know about now. You know what I'm saying? And so when I moved to LA, I heard about him because his Ventura album, or Malibu was the one everybody I think was just like, whoa, about. So, you know, I had heard that, and I was just like, yo, dude, it's crazy. And it's funny because I told my friend, I was like, it's one artist that I would love to, and this was like last year, I was like, that I would love to work with, that just do something for me. And I was like, Anderson, because I watched his Tiny Desk. First of all, he got the most views, so I had to watch it, and I still be watching it to this day. I'm like, this is just crazy how locked in he was, his musicianship, all of them together. You could tell they had been playing for years, you know what I'm saying? But him, just how much he sounded exactly like the record and how he was playing, the energy of it was just insane. You know, and so I remember just watching it over and over again. I'm like, this is just crazy. So his tour manager texts me like, hey, that's what I mean by people would not believe. Well, she didn't text me, she DM'd me because she didn't have my information. She said, hey, you know, I was wondering if you were available for Coachella. Now, I knew I was doing Coachella already, but I didn't know if we were doing both weekends. You know, I didn't want to, whatever. But I be knowing the flow of the universe now. I know how this goes. And I'm like, it's going to all work out because I said this. I said I want to work with him. So, ended up doing that. Everything ended up working out. So I meet Andy the first day of rehearsal for Coachella. And he said, yo, I'm a huge fan. And I was like, like how? And he was doing the same exact thing I was doing. He said, I saw you on Tiny Desk. And I was like, I gotta hire her. I gotta work with her. I said, you said the exact same thing I said about you. Being a part of this also gives you an energy that you may not get anywhere else. So don't just give up if somebody's ignoring you being an artist. It's the same thing Ye did. People, they were ignoring him. You know what I'm saying? Like, people were ignoring him. Like, we just did Sunday service in Dayton, Ohio with Dave Chappell. So it's so many synchronicities. This is what I want the people to see. So Cole was on his first block party, the movie in 2016, waving his demo.
Wow.
In the Dave Chappelle movie.
That's crazy.
Then years later, he's doing Lollapalooza, the biggest crowd I think at that point that he had done. And Dave Chappelle was just re-emerging. He was doing a House of Blues tour. I meet Dave Chappelle that night. We go up, whatever. We have a great time. We go party for Lollapalooza. I come back. My car happens to be parked at the House of Blues. Dave Chappelle walks out. Ain't no cabs coming. Can you give me a ride? Get out of here. I just met Dave Chappelle.
You gave Dave Chappelle a ride. So I got to chat.
We got to chat. And now he's often at Sunday services, and boom, we were just in Dayton for his birthday for the block party. Now here I am performing. Life makes sense when you allow it to. When you stop worrying, start trusting, and just watch it unfold.